I think we all have something to learn of drugs, man. The drugs, man. I can't monetize my videos if I say fucking shit in the first 1 minute, apparently. But these aren't monetized anyway. Chapter 10, The Cracks. Welcome. Welcome to McDino's. Can I take your order? Jesus, please kill me now. A social retard like me has no business running a gas register and dealing with absolute dregs that frequent this place. Slack-jawed, mumbling. That's you. That's you. And nigh incomprehensible creatures, day in, day out. And all I can do is grin and bear it. It's enough to make a man sick. Then again, that might be the food. Barely a week in, and I was already thinking about bringing my own lunches. Maybe I'll just quit, save myself the time and dignity. I mean, Supersize Me was greatly over-exaggerating. You can perfectly survive off of McDonald's. Not thrive, but survive. I mean, I'm used to better McDonald's. I don't know what American McDonald's is like. Look, the McDonald's around is actually pretty okay. I mean, it's still expensive, but listen, you're getting a decent bite to eat. It's a decent bite to eat. You're going to put your teeth in, you're going to go, yep, that tastes like something. Don't worry, though, Americans. The French fries turn to absolute dog shit about 30 minutes in. That's still the same. You have to eat them quickly. Once they get cold, they are just soggy. So hey, if you like them, here you go. Now you got the American experience. You just heat those up again. This is usually around when my train of thought gets interrupted by a reminder I'm here. Why I get out of bed every morning. 2 bottomless wells of shining amber, 2 angelic blankets of shifting silver, a rough, soothing voice, and a warmth unmatched by any feeling of the earth. It's enough to make me lose focus again. I hope nobody is noticing me spacing out constantly. Not that I mind the reason. Part of me thinks I'll get over it eventually, but another part of me hopes I never do. Right as I'm about to regret my existence again, the clock ticks over, signaling the end of my shift, and more importantly, my first paycheck. Ignoring the pleading and offers from both my manager and the bank to set up an actual bank account, I return home with just shy of $200 in taxes and fees. After taxes and fees, it's not much, but it's another step in the right direction. That is not paying for your house, man. You are like that is not enough. Honey, I'm home. I shout after throwing the door open. How long are you going to keep trying that? I'm going to keep doing that. Fang shouts from somewhere inside. Until I get tired of it. So not anytime soon. I maneuver to the bedroom to see Fang stretch out across the bed, her music notebook on the side table. I scatter the assorted bills that made up my paycheck around her. Got paid today for 200 smackers, give or take. And you had to make it rain? I had no choice. This was destiny. She huffs, and there's a sort of smile on her face. How are things going over here? Fine. She replies, but her voice lacks confidence. Maybe she just needs a boost. A little cooperative brainstorming. Well, let's see what we got. I reach for the notebook, but as soon as my hand touches it, she lunges forward and slams her hand down against it. That's not... she says, her eyes wide open and voice constrained. Why not? I asked, not realizing I dropped to a whisper. She glances over to the book, and I get the feeling I shouldn't have asked. I can't. I can't. I sit down and wrap an arm around her. No sense in leaving a band-aid half-torn. Why not? Fang looks over to the notebook again, and I can feel the tiny feathers on her arm bristling in discomfort as she tries a response. Please don't let things get any worse than they already were. Every time I open that book, I remember... oh, shit, we got... oh, sorry, I need to switch to some tense music. There you go, that'll work. Every time I open that book, I remember what I was thinking the last time I used it. The last thing I wrote was, I'm sorry. Don't. It's not your fault. You're relying on me. Because I know you can do this. And if you need some help, I'm here to give it. We can get through this just like everything else. How? She looks at me, terror in her pleading eyes. Shit. Think. What do creative types normally do for inspiration? A trip to the museum back in April comes to mind. While it was an abject disaster of a date, it absolutely gave Fang something to work with for prom. Maybe something similar will help. As long as you don't go near any museums, at least. Well, I have the day off tomorrow. Maybe we can take the time to get some fresh air, look around the city. See if anything comes to mind. Okay. She mumbles, with nowhere near as much determination as I was hoping. It's fine, she's just rattled. Some sleep and fresh air should help. The next day was graciously overcast, lowering the ambient temperatures to borderline tolerable throughout most of Halfton. Fang and I spent a long while wandering through the city with no particular goal in mind. We ended up in a public park, bustling with all activity of all sorts. Dogs being walked, kids playing, street vendors flagging down potential customers, all bringing the serenity I haven't felt in months, if ever. Despite everything, I feel like I'm finally on the right path. Fang doesn't seem to be doing too badly either. The pen idly spins in her right hand, and her notebook hangs from her left whilst her eyes roam the vista, taking in the scenery. See? I told me it would be fine, just needed a change of pace. It's the thing. I just realized something with the Redux. I should probably have... Like, I kind of want to replace Naomi. I feel Naomi would work better in the Squeakquel with either Inko or Amber for one major reason. Because there's something I want to do with Naomi that perfectly suits the new verse. I kind of like the idea that Naomi shortcuts Apotheosis and fucks everything up, and we get a cool Godslayer moment, and it's like, wow, my school sure is fucking weird. I go to school here, and they got a big fucking cannon built into the library. Where was that my whole life? But the reason I want to have Liz around is I already have Ferris there. My idea is that Liz lives there because of Ferris. Like, Ferris is moving around a lot, and my idea is that while right now Ferris is around, in the sequel series he's more established. He's more just around, maybe as a superintendent, like a proper, as he is in the games. But now he's more like a young upstart. And having Liz around and being like, listen, I live here my entire life. I'm not special. I don't have any cool powers, like you do. But I'm just here. And, she's a stable, normal person. Just what Anon needs. And then we can have Trish be sort of the other element of, like, just live the fantastical. Live a life full of energy. That actually sounds like a really good dichotomy of characters. Fuck, Safi. You're starting to work it out. I'm not saying that's final, but that's a good reason to do it. Especially since Fang is, like, part 2. Because part 1 is just... I think we're going with Reed. Fun fact, we're going to have Trent as a kid. Scalar's going to show up young. Trent is a sort of part of the gang when they go out on their scavenging hunts, because there's a lot of ruined buildings for them to scavenge. Scalar already graduated by the time the story starts. Or graduates that year, I guess. That works fine, too. Yeah, that actually works perfectly fine. It would kind of mess up the whole Inko thing, but hey, we can just have her not show up for that. A thing that also exists, I forgot what her name was. I think it's Nona. Nona exists as a character. And Nona kind of takes over in a funny way over time. The idea being that what Anon gets in the new verse Redux, not the reboot, but the Redux, is he gets flesh warping powers because he doesn't feel like a person, so he's all people. He grows and changes and shifts in shape. He's basically that guy from Prototype. But because of his doubts and his racist mind and being raised by Mr. Opanus of all people, in his head it creates an alternative personality that sort of hijacks what he can do. Oh no, I've turned into a girl, but it's really Nona trying to exert herself. And she's not real, it's not a system. I can fit that in there just fine. It would make Liz an interesting character as well. Because, she's normal. It's like, oh, you're fucking weird, aren't you? Just thinking. Because I'm not doing a lot with that reboot for a while to come. We still have to finish the Redux. We still have to do the reboot. Wrap that up. I still need to get near Olivia in a state where I'm okay with where it is and what it's doing. I need to finish the Silent Hill thing. Like, we got time, Safi. Fang doesn't seem to be doing too badly either. Okay. So, got anything cooking up there? I don't know. Maybe. Nice days in the park were never really the subject of my music. Well, worst come to worst, you can always write about me. Ooh, tempting. She considers it for a moment. Although, it might not be a terrible idea. The hand holding the book shifts. She looks at it for a moment, hesitates, and looks over at me. I try to offer my best winning smile and a thumbs up. She blushes and smirks, then turns back to her book. She lifts it up to chest level, brings the pen to bear. Flicks it open with a claw. A smile vanishes instantly. There's a moment where I'm frozen on the spot, unable to act, with only one thought echoing through the mind. What the fuck was I thinking? Fang slams the notebook shut and throws it as hard as she can, stumbling back into me and filling my vision with agitated feathers. I'm not. She mumbles fearfully between sharp yet shallow breaths. I try to turn her around, but the limbs jerk and twitch violently at every touch. Breathe. I call. She takes another step back, and I lose my balance, toppling us on the ground. She kicks at the ground, and the heel of her boot catches the dirt. Without traction, she whips around and attempts to launch herself upright and away, tripping me over in the process. Vision unobstructed, I'm finally able to grab her shoulders, directing her focus towards me. She suffers a tremor that echoes through my soul, then finally locks eyes with mine. There's a brief moment when nothing happens. I fear the extent of my knowledge there won't be enough. A deep, ragged breath from Fang tells me the worst should be over. She glances around, then pushes herself onto her feet. I follow her up and wrap her in a hug that she doesn't reciprocate. How many times is this going to happen? She whispers after considerable silence. It'll pass. It has to. She sighs and then pulls away from me. Need to use the bathroom. She mutters before walking off. Well, that was a complete disaster. History repeats. The damn book must be haunted or something. I walk over to it, properly looking it over. Outside of some writing and basic doodles on the cover, it's in as ordinary as any other composition notebook, if a bit worn. Flicking the cover open reveals the remains of a few pages that were torn out at some point. The first intact page is a collection of tiny pictures, as well as words and musical scores, struck through to the point of illegibility. A single verse remains intact. Control over my life you denied. Now death approaches from the sky. Why did you have to vilify? Goodbye, volcano high. To anyone else, this would be nothing more than an edgy and somewhat personal outlet of teenage angst. To me, it is, in another world, the last gasp of someone past their breaking point. 24 words putting a fear in me that rivals being on the wrong side of a loaded gun. A black swan song. I shake my head clear and consider flinging the book down the storm drain. Fucking hell, maybe it is haunted. Still, there must be a reason she hung on to it through our move. Should throw the entire thing away without at least asking first. I don't think this page in particular will be missed, though. I sit down on an empty bench and tear that cursed page from the book, stopping myself just as I'm about to rip it to pieces. Letting Fang see this would be a small, almost mostly symbolic victory, but even that counts as something at this point. Approaching boot falls from behind let me know that my timing is as good as ever. What you got there? Just taking care of a little something, I reply, tearing the page into useless scraps of paper. You saw it? Saw what? Oh, right. Yeah, we should go. I think I had enough of the day. Cool.